Hey there, good afternoon to you. I'm First Alert Meteorologist Cutter Martin here with a check of the First Alert forecast. Still quite a bit to talk about despite the weather being so much calmer than it has been the past 48 hours. Obviously, we need this drier trend. We need this improvement in the forecast because so many are dealing with remnant flooding issues. Some still dealing with high water, and we are still seeing some rises on area creeks and rivers. So this whole risk of flooding is not completely gone. It has not gone away. But as far as, rain and moisture falling from the sky and contributing to flooding woes across the area, certainly we are seeing some improvement in the First Alert forecast. And I think that is kind of the key. Drier weather in the forecast. That is what we're tracking here, and kind of the highlight of the first portion of this conversation or this Atlanta News First Plus stream. Want to remind you, if you have any weather questions, comments, concerns, speaking of a conversation, you can reach out on YouTube. Atlanta News First is the account that we are streaming on at the moment. Don't have any comments just yet, but we certainly do have folks watching. You can also text us 470-777-9263. That's 470-777-WANF. Going to take a quick live look outside. We have lots of clouds, certainly not a pretty day, and it may look like it's going to rain, but the good news is that the rain chance remains low across North Georgia and Metro Atlanta. Drier weather in the forecast, and the rain that we are seeing, because it's not completely dry, is very, very light. The clouds helping to keep temperatures cooler, though. You can kind of see that gradient across North Georgia. The greens, as we play this out, temperatures in the 60s. Yellows in the 70s, and the subtle oranges, upper 70s and lower 80s. So quite a temperature range across North Georgia and Metro Atlanta. 64 LJ, Helen is at 66. Rome 65, 77 though in Atlanta, just a bit more sunshine before those clouds really thickened up and moved back in. And where we are seeing the most sunshine, 77 in Griffin, 79 in Thomaston, and 81 now in Eatonton. Thomaston, Upson County earlier also in the lower 80s. Now, believe it or not, the clouds actually still affiliated with the remnants of Helene, which are spinning well to our north and west. Again, this is kind of the big picture. Not completely dry. We have one little band of moisture over extreme in northwest Georgia moving into the North Georgia mountains. Another band up into kind of Whitfield County just outside of the Atlanta News First viewing area. And another here across northeast Mississippi, North Alabama on into the kind of Nashville, Murfreesboro area of Tennessee. And a few more showers where they really don't need it in extreme western North Carolina. Two things, though. These are very, very light, kind of drizzly, sort of, I should say, patches of rain. Not going to lead to any real accumulation, but nonetheless, if you have outdoor plants, a little bit of moisture out there, mainly to the north and west of Atlanta. And this particular band not showing much of a sign, pushing to the east into the heart of the metro, kind of just developing and moving these patches of drizzle, these clusters of light rain from southwest to north and east, through Floyd County on into northern Pickens County, Gilmer County, Fannin County, crossing 75, between Cartersville or so and on up to Calhoun. A little bit of rain, maybe enough to use the wipers, wet the pavement a bit, but compared to 48 hours ago, this is nothing, and this is the type of very, very light rain that isn't really going to contribute to any runoff, contribute to any flooding woes across North Georgia and Metro Atlanta, and of course that is good news. Flooding is the last thing, and heavy rain, the last thing that we need across North Georgia and Metro Atlanta. Here's your hour-by-hour forecast. Again, that rain chance, not zero, but relatively low, 20 to 30% chance for the heart of the city. Further north and west you go, bring up that rain chance just a bit, 40% chance. Scattered light rain northwest Georgia into the North Georgia mountains, extending over to about as far east as Clay County, North Carolina, and Rabun County in Georgia, Clayton area. Dry now, but some of these patches of drizzle and light rain may move back in. Case in point, hour-by-hour forecast, let's bring that clock back. Forecast model's not doing the best with exactly where the rain is occurring, but it has the right idea, kind of northwestern or third to half of North Georgia. And watch what happens as we go into the evening. That rain kind of remains anchored where it's already raining. Canton, Rome, LJ, Gainesville, a few showers around. If you were wanting to spend your Saturday on Lake Lanier, not terrible, but a little bit of rain possible. We're not seeing really any lightning and thunder out of this, and I don't think we will. Nonetheless, could be a little bit of rain to deal with up on Lake Lanier. Overnight tonight and early Sunday morning, maybe Metro Atlanta gets in on just a little bit of the spritz to light rain. Again, not a washout of an evening whatsoever, but a little bit of rain in the forecast. So as the banner says below, drier weather in the forecast. And by comparison to 48 hours ago, it is much, much drier than it has been. But still, in the forecast this evening, the chance of drizzle and a few showers are still there. It's not a completely dry forecast this evening across North Georgia and Metro Atlanta, but improvement. And then I would go forth, if I was you, with my evening plans as well. Not too concerned about any huge issues or anything like that out there. Again, if you are streaming on Atlanta News First Plus, awesome, Roku, Amazon Fire, in any of our apps, Atlanta News First or First Alert Weather, all great options. But if you have any weather questions, comments, concerns, two places you can begin that conversation. One being YouTube, Atlanta News First is the account that we are streaming on right now. You can also just reach us via text, 470-777-9263. That's 470-777-WANF, or 9263. So again, thank you for tuning in and for watching. And if you have any weather questions, comments, or concerns, those are probably the best places to hit us up and ask those questions. And even if they don't come in until after the stream, I'll check back and respond as well. All right, let's go deeper into your Sunday. Now that we're a few minutes into the stream, out the door Sunday morning, going to church, breakfast, coffee, trying to get that morning walk in, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. Not completely dry. A few spotty showers, probably two areas of focus, much like today. Extreme northwest Georgia, but also I think East Georgia, Clark and Oconee counties, Oglethorpe County, Greene County, Putnam County. Maybe your Sundays on not like Lanier, but like Sinclair or Oconee. Could have a little bit of rain around tomorrow morning. Maybe not the prettiest of mornings, but not terrible either. Now tomorrow, a little more sunshine than today, and that'll give rise to some growing clouds bubbling up out there and a couple of showers. And the forecast as we get into tomorrow, very isolated, brief, nothing to cancel plans over. And again, mainly northern half of the area, I-20 corridor on northward for that rain chance tomorrow. And it by no means is a washout, nor a reason to cancel any of your Sunday plans. Probably your best bet is to just keep those precipitation is what it says in the app. In this case, rain alerts turned on in the First Alert weather app. And make sure that your location settings are set to follow me so that it knows where you are and it can alert you to any little showers approaching your plans. Now, as we get into Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, the forecast continues to dry out and thus warm up. Temperatures back in the low to mid 80s, right around maybe by midweek, couple degrees above our average temperature. Mornings remain comfortable in the mid 60s for the most part in the core of the city, upper 50s, lower 60s outlying. Some of our mountain communities have spent the majority of today, even the afternoon, in the low to mid 60s with the breeze. So it feels fairly nice outside despite the gloom and some of that drizzle. And then you see that rain chance Friday. And I'm going back in and I'm editing the forecast as we get into this evening. So may have to have that rain chance Saturday as well. Certainly a couple things to watch in the tropics, and not something that we want to hear, but something that we need to be cognizant of and vigilant about will be, and we'll get to this in a moment, that orange blob you see there in the western Caribbean into the Gulf of Mexico. A lot going on in the tropics. We have Hurricane Isaac, we have Joyce, and a new tropical wave off the coast of Africa, south and west of the Cabo Verde Islands, has a 70% chance of tropical development. None a risk to us at the moment, and none of those likely to be a risk to us. However, something to watch, not even really there yet, not even much storminess with this yet. But storminess is forecast to kind of bubble up and persist and increase across the western Caribbean. Very similar location to where Helene formed, and this is forecast to lift northward into the Gulf of Mexico, out of the western Caribbean. Right now, a 50% chance of tropical development within the next 7 days. Really, we're going to be watching the middle portion to the latter portion of the coming week. Now, where does this go? What does it become? Who is threatened the most by the system and to what extent? All of those questions still don't have answers, but we are going to be watching the Gulf of Mexico once again as we get into the middle of the work week. Watching the Gulf and the Caribbean, as we could see our next tropical system form anywhere in that general vicinity. So something we're going to be watching closely here, but something that we also have plenty of time to watch. Not worthy of any worry, but worthy of certainly some attention in the First Alert forecast. We're going to be watching that for you, keeping you updated right here on Atlanta News First Plus, streaming at atlantanewsfirst.com as well. No early evening newscast this evening. We're preempted by sports on CBS. We will have our 10 o'clock newscast at Atlanta News First on Peachtree TV, Atlanta CW affiliate, and then back on for the late news, Atlanta News First on WANF. This is going to, of course, be a highlight of the forecast, something we're going to be talking about for the next several days, hopefully writing it off as far as local impacts, but we just can't do that yet. We can't take the risk of some impacts across Georgia, the Mid-South, the Southeast, Florida, regionally and locally. We just can't take that off the table. There are many options that are still on the table, many possibilities here, not worthy of any concern. But as we have learned, even though we're hundreds of miles inland, or we should say reminded, because there are other instances as well, as we were reminded this week, we are close enough to the Gulf of Mexico, to the southwestern Atlantic Ocean to be impacted at times significantly, majorly by tropical systems. So something we're going to be watching here. We also, I put in a forecast update with even more on this in the First Alert Weather app. Going to be recording another update a little bit later this evening. We will too be putting that in the First Alert Weather app. So even if you have a busy Saturday, a fun Saturday, maybe you don't have any cleanup to do in the yard after this week's rain and wind, wishing you a wonderful evening. No reason to worry about this, but keep an eye on it as we get into the early portion of the work week. We will need to pay a little bit more attention to the forecast, and we will be doing just that. In the meantime, go outside, enjoy the drier but not completely dry weather. Enjoy the cooler condition, that nice breeze. We'll keep you updated. Another check of your forecast coming up on Atlanta News First Plus, streaming at 8 p.m. just before that 10 o'clock newscast on Peachtree TV.